Can you talk about your audition process for the Creeper? The video is on YouTube if anyone listening wants to check it out. And I say this with the most respect I can. You were absolutely horrifying in it. I did watch it, and you were quite scary.
I was that was one of those auditions where I couldn't really even tell you what happened. I mean, I'm glad they recorded it because now I can look back and see what I did because I was just, I had about 2 weeks to come up with that character, and you can imagine it's a hard thing to audition for. My agent called and said, "Hey, we've got this kind of strange audition for you. Um, they want you to come in and audition for this character, and we don't know much about him. We know he's a few thousand years old, and we know he eats people, and that's about it. And that's really all they gave me to go on." And I said, "Okay, send me the script and stuff." And they said, "Well, you don't really have any lines, so we're not going to send you the script." And I was like, well, "What the hell? What am I supposed to do in the audition?" They said, "Well, they just want you to create the character and just come in the room and be the character."
Wow.
It was the strangest thing ever, man. And
Wow.
but fortunately for me, I had like 2 weeks, and so I was like, okay. So I started thinking on it, meditating on it, and thought about, okay, obviously I don't have any lines, so I'm gonna have to communicate with him. Everything's gonna be about behavior. Everything's gonna be about looks and the way he walks and the way he stalks his prey, and everything is at every moment I'm communicating with behavior. And so I started thinking about super predators because I figured this guy was a super predator, and then it led me to other things, and I just went way down a rabbit hole and put a character together that I felt really good about. And I would say I felt like I was about 95% there. I was like confident. I was like, okay, I got this character. I think I got something good to show him. But I didn't have that last 5%. And it was just, I couldn't figure it out. And the night before the audition, by the way, I look like I do now. Actually, I had a little bit more hair back then. Long blonde hair. I was about the least intimidating looking guy. And I woke up in the middle of the night and I was like, that's it. I got to shave my head. I got to go in completely bald and slick and clean because this character wouldn't have hair. He wouldn't want to clean up, So I went down the hall, woke my roommate up, and said, "Doug, you gotta shave my head." And 3 o'clock in the morning, the night before the audition, he shaved my head. And when I first looked at myself in the mirror, that was the 5% just went clink,
Nice.
right into place, And I woke up the next morning. I called my agent and said, "I'm thinking about shaving my head," and she was like, "Don't do it. You won't work for 4 months." And I was like, well, fuck, it's already done. I didn't tell her I already did it. I just did it, And I remember on the way to the audition, just thinking to myself, I got a call from an old acting mentor of mine. He said, when you walk in that room, just do the first thing that comes to you. Don't think about it. Don't edit it. Don't even hesitate for a millisecond, because you're dead, right? And so, I walked in the room, and it was a traditional. Well, it was crazy because usually for auditions you go in and you have a pre-read, and so you'll meet maybe the casting director, or you might even meet a casting assistant, and they'll read with you, and they'll decide whether or not you deserve to go to the casting director, and then they'll send you in front of the producer. So it's like a battery of auditions. You probably heard this, right?
Right.
To get a big film like this. But they'd been looking for this character for a while, and they were really up against it. So as luck would have it, the room was full of people. I mean, producers, everything. And, they had a chair sitting out in the middle of the room, and they had a table across from the chair with, like I said, about 8, 9 people, 10 people behind it. And they walked me in. I just walked in, sat down in the chair. Nobody even looked up. Everybody was still looking down. It's like a bad Hollywood show, right? Everybody's eating or on their phone or what. I mean, nobody even knew I was there. They weren't paying attention. And then I just sat there quietly in the chair, and then the director looked up. He looked at me, down at my picture, looked back up at me, looked down at my picture, looked back up, and said, "You don't have any hair." And I said, "Well, sir, this character wouldn't have any hair, so I shaved it." And everybody in the room just kind of looked up.
Nice.
and the energy just changed. It just went whoom, and I was like,
Got him.
and then it just took off from there for me. Like I said, I don't really recall, didn't really remember what I did. I just went for it, and it worked out. So,
Well,
of course they tell you.
kind
Of course they tell you is a one little other bit of tidbit that I think the listeners will enjoy. So they tell you, who they are. They always tell you, right, that you're never supposed to like threaten a casting director for real. You never encroach their space, never intimidate them really for real, never threaten them, Man, I went after that casting director. I threw his ass up against the wall. I broke every unwritten rule that they say you're not supposed to do. And, it worked out. As a matter of fact, Courtney Gaines, Courtney Malachi from Children of the Corn, right? We
Right.
laughed because he did the same damn thing. He went into his first audition with a butcher knife, and he chased the casting director around the room with a butcher knife. They thought he was completely insane. So, but back to your original question about follow your instincts. I think it was the most valuable lesson I ever learned as an actor, as a person. Really is, you got to go with your gut, man. Don't second guess yourself. So.